Hey guys, Gavin here, and I just wanted to go live for a few minutes, kind of talk about some of the things that are going on. We've seen corruption in the courts, right? Everything from courts trying to violate us on a local level, on a county level. In my case, the prosecution was trying to force me to give them the password to screw around inside my phone. Obviously, they were up to no good there and going to be committing crimes, and that was not okay. The Bundy trials. From the beginning all the way back to Oregon, there has been absolute violation of law by the judges in Oregon, by the prosecutors. Everything these guys are doing is unconstitutional. It's illegal. They're federal crimes. It's treason. Even to bring these charges, to allow these charges to continue. And we're seeing a pattern, guys. When Waco went down, when the federal government murdered all those innocent women and children and men in Waco, the survivors were convicted and sent to prison. Not the people that committed the murder, not the federal government agents. And so for a long time this has been coming, and I think we got to realize how truly gone the court system is. But what's happening in the Bundy trial is they let these guys out on pretrial because this stuff started coming out. Well, it's pouring out more and more. And the reason we're seeing all these sealed hearings recently in this court, and the jury's being sent home, and they're talking about a mistrial. We don't want a mistrial. We want full dismissal with prejudice. A mistrial just means they bring it again and again. Hey, guys, I see you in there. Appreciate the love and support. A couple things to show you here, and that you guys are going to want to share and blast this out far and wide in one form or another, or do your own video about this. So there's been all these sealed trials, and you've probably noticed that it's been kind of quiet, defendants coming out of the courtroom, because they're gagging the defendants. They're saying you don't get to talk about your trial. Now, the right to a public trial is a human right. It is absolutely in the Constitution. You know, study your 5th, 6th, 7th Amendment. An open trial is not optional. So a sealed hearing in a criminal trial is completely and utterly illegal. It shouldn't be tolerated by the press. It shouldn't be tolerated by the people. And you've got these defendants that they're bullying into this. They lock illegally without bail in jail for years, and then they let them out, and they make, you know, agreements, and they get them to say, okay, we'll work with the court, because they got a gun to their head. And I don't blame them for this at all. It just goes on and on. Jeff Winehouse, Schaefer Cox, Randy Weaver, Leonard Peltier, the Bundys. It's constant. I mean, and there's 1,000 more names that we don't even know, you guys, from people that aren't from our groups and our factions. Our prisons are full. The U.S. has the #1 prison system. All right? And yes, Brandon Barnes, thank you. DHS Whistler on Twitter, and let me just kind of show you guys, and that's kind of what the crux of this today. I mean, I'm giving this introduction, but the crux of this is there's these proceedings. The lawyers are freaking out on both sides in the courtrooms because it came out, this did come out, it came out that they have been recording calls from the attorney-client privilege calls from Blaine Cooper. Now it's coming out, it looks like, that they're recording a whole bunch of the attorney-client privilege meetings, the prosecution for the U.S. government, that is. This is, of course, 100% illegal. But there's more coming out. There's stuff coming out that's explaining why they didn't want Dan Love on the stand. And they're sealing everything in this court. And now it's starting to be leaked out because some people aren't willing to tolerate this being sealed, all right? And they shouldn't. There's people that are brave enough to say no. There's no such thing as a sealed hearing in a criminal case. A public trial is a fundamental right. Ed and Elaine Brown, there's another couple. Absolute atrocities committed by our government. They are the terrorists. They are the ones that have to be stopped. And every officer and official who supports them and who refuses to stop their tyranny. Let's look at some of these leaks. I'm just going to show you guys these freely because these are out there and they have been leaked out. And despite what the trolls may say, no, it's not me, it's not Kelly Stewart that got things like this out of the courtroom. They don't. Guys, I'm not even in the U.S. right now. The court doesn't call us and say, hey, here's our documents, don't leak them out, right? And so once things are out, it's public. Now, here's these photos and stuff that are being put out today on this DHS Whistler Twitter account, is the name of it, at DHS Whistler on Twitter. It came out in the closed hearings that Dan Love had a kill list at Bundy Ranch. It started with the Bundy family and worked down. Here's these photos, this imagery that from the protests, and and you can see that these are actual. There's case document numbers being put on these. These are legitimate court documents that lawfully, according to the Constitution, must be open to the public in a criminal trial like this. The prosecution doesn't get to hide this stuff. They don't get to hide their calls. And so you can see that this is the bridge and the protesters. This is the time index. Dan Love at the Gate is the title of this one, 1213 to 1224. And it's showing where the protesters are gathered. The protesters, the peaceful protesters from the Bundy side are color-coded. And it's appears that there's threat assessment going on. So you have blue, you have yellow, and then you have red, which presumably are the first kills. These are the high threat assessment from the federal government terrorists. Obviously, we know the real threat was the government, not the people. All right, and it's very important to help people understand that. It's also very important to realize this isn't just one case. This is what's happening in our courts all across the U.S. Let's look at a couple of these other ones. Let's see here. Some images here. U.S. Attorney Stephen Meyer fired one investigator after he objected to the fact that the prosecution was withholding exculpatory evidence that would exonerate the Bundys. All right? Now, guys, what's happening is huge, and it's not that we didn't know that these crimes were being committed. I've been talking about it. John's been talking about it. Ammon's been talking about it from jail for years, all right? So from day one, like, I was there. I was at the Bundy Ranch that day. I saw the reports coming in. We expected that they were going to start killing us. It's not that it's a surprise to people like me, to people like Brand, hey Brand, to any of us that this is going on. It's that this is the evidence that we've known all along that the government has been hiding, the prosecution has had, and under the rules of discovery and the rules of a criminal case, that has to be given up. And the trial also has to be held publicly. You don't get to have a court that's held in secret, guys. And that's what Judge Navarro has been doing. That's what's happening in our courts all over the nation. This is treason, you guys. And any officer, any official, any DHS official that does not stand up to it, that sits by and lets it happen, is engaged in that treason. That's blue ISIS. And that's why I always say we have no good cops. It's not because they all want to kill us. It's because none of them will do their job. Okay? And yes, absolutely right, Denise. This was not about cows. This was about silencing people who speak out against this treasonous government, and it still is. It was with Schaefer Cox. It was with the Browns. It was with Jeff Winehouse. It was with Waco. It was with Ruby Ridge. It's the same with me in my county as they try and railroad me and make up charges and lie in police reports. And that's why I said, no, I'm not going to play your way. I'm going to get out of range of your gun to my head. I'm not going to play in your courtroom where we're trampled on. Guys, to resist, to stand. When you got a gun to your head, sometimes you got to do what you have to do. And a lot of the prisoners from the Bundy Ranch are facing this right now. And I understand that, right? There's only so much you can do when there's literally a gun to your head and the government's saying, we're going to destroy you, we're going to kill you if you don't comply. But when you have an option, we have to take that option. We won't win in these courts. We won't win by saying, let them violate me and then have a lawsuit. We have to stop obeying these courts. We have to stop tolerating their sealed hearings. We have to stop tolerating their gag orders. We have to stop tolerating their secret documents. We have to start shouting from the rooftops what the prosecutors are doing, what they're hiding, all right? The message is the same. I won't comply. You can't comply. The Bundys didn't comply. Ammon didn't comply. Guys, the reason they've been torturing Ammon and Ryan in particular for so long is because they absolutely would not play their game. All right? Playing the game is not how we win. You don't win when a terrorist bully comes to you and says, lie down. And just remember, anytime somebody says, you know, you need to do what you're told, right? They're working. They're not working for freedom. They're working for the enemy. The idea, imagine the idea to our founding fathers that the king is like, you have to do it our way. You have to not stand up to us. You have to come to court. And everyone's like, yeah, we have to do it their way because the judge said and the lawyer said. No. They said absolutely not. We're not playing your game. Our founding fathers, they snuck in their arms. They they resisted, they disobeyed, they fought, and we're trying to avoid violence because we're men of peace. I want peace. But they've been railroading these guys. Blaine Cooper, they beat down into the ground. All these guys they made plea out, they just bullied and beat them down. And all their cases need to be thrown out too. They were recording their calls. So imagine like they're getting Blaine Cooper and these other people to plea out, while they're illegally recording their calls to get information, illegally recording their attorney-client privilege to get information to use against them. Is it any wonder that people are pleading out? And so, guys, check out the leaks that are coming out, and I'm hoping some other people will start leaking stuff too. Be careful out there. And you know, the defendants obviously right now, like Ammon, are not in a position where they can just dump all this out, because, like Kelly said, hi Kelly, they made agreements, and they're trying to get through this. But you know, God bless whoever is getting this stuff out, and God help us. There's no law in our courtrooms, and if you're still pretending there's any law, we keep telling ourselves, oh, it's just this case, it's an isolated incident. It's not. It's every county, it's every city, it's every federal courtroom, it's every prosecutor. This is treason. It has to stop. We have to say no. We have to disobey. All right, you guys, be safe and stand up. It's interesting because as the courts collapse, as the Constitution is completely thrown out, it's no longer followed in the courtrooms. Down in Mexico, people are saying, we want more justice. In fact, they just passed an amendment recently, and it just went into effect, that their courts do have to be public, right? Because they had an old court system, and people were saying, this isn't good, this isn't justice. And the people demanded public courts. And they're getting it, guys, because they're making the government follow the Constitution. It doesn't mean there's not corruption. There's corruption everywhere. But in the USA, we've been beaten down and we've been sold slavery as freedom. And as long as they just keep us waving the flag for them and cheering at their parades and praising the people who refuse to defend our rights, we're not going to get anywhere. It's time to set the prisoners free. Speak up, stand out, share this message. DHS at DHS Whistler on Twitter. Get that out there. Make your own videos. Maybe you don't like my videos, so make your own and get it out there. Just be the media. We have the voice. We have the power. And I refuse to be silent. And I hope you'll refuse to be silent too. Thank you all. Peace.